Monday, everybody, and welcome back to the Couchside Judges. I'm Scott Fontana. Follow me on Twitter at Scott_Fontana.
And I'm Dan Urban. Follow me at the Dan Urban. Follow the podcast at Couchside Judges, and subscribe to us wherever you listen.
And you should give us that 5-star review now that we're back at our normal time and day.
And as always, we talk judging in MMA, so make sure you read the scoring criteria.
This is all we do. We just give orders. We say, give us a 5-star review. Read the criteria. Give me your wallet.
I like the last one.
Yeah.
Do like the last one.
That's true. I don't need the money. I really just like wallets.
You know what? I had this thought today.
What's that?
Because this happened. I think it was Jamal Pogue's father that was in the crowd, and he took his wallet out immediately after his son was announced.
Someone took his wallet.
Like, someone took his wallet.
I don't know.
But why do
Probably
people?
not.
Why do people? Because they show of him putting his wallet back into his pocket.
Yeah.
And I've noticed, why does everyone use their back pocket for their wallet?
Oh yeah, I'm. This phenomena drives me nuts because I would never do that. First off, it's not comfortable.
Yeah, why do you want to sit on it?
I don't want to sit on a lump. That's not, no thank you. And number two, I feel like it's much more likely that my wallet falls out of my pocket being sitting on my butt.
Yeah,
I feel like it's just going to be forced out.
It's weird to me.
My, one time when my dad took me to see Jurassic Park, 1993, right, 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Which crazy 30 years have passed since this movie came out. I can't believe it. Time be flying. But yeah, we went to see it in the afternoon, went home, and my dad realizes, oh, I lost my wallet.
Oh, boy.
So he has to go back to the movie theater. I think it was like while the movie was going on, and or maybe he had to wait until it was over or something like that.
Oh,
and he had to go. And I think he did get it back,
okay.
if I remember right.
Oh, that's good.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with. There's a good chance he had it in his back pocket. No one should do this. If you're one of those people who puts it in your back pocket, write to the Couchside Judges and explain why. Yeah. That's another command I'm giving you.
Okay, I would like an explanation of why the back pocket.
Yeah. Well, that's our show. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back next week. No, you got more stuff to do, don't we?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right.
Just a little bit.
I mean, we have to because it's all about the North Jersey folks.
Yeah, North Jersey represent it.
It was absolutely not about like anyone else because most of the other fights, no one outside of their own little hamlets where they came from pretty much cared. This just wasn't that kind of card. The two standouts were Jim Miller and granted the entire fight of Jessica Andrade and local girl Erin Blanchfield. Those were the two that stood out for most people coming into this one, whether you lived in New Jersey or not. But, they're from our area.
And
we're going to talk about
Liv Morgan didn't really represent New Jersey that well. She got eliminated early in the elimination chamber.
Oh, she did?
Tonight, yeah.
Who's that?
Wrestler from Elmwood Park.
She's from Elmwood Park too?
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, but she didn't win the title, so.
Oh, okay.
Not as good.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
How long ago was Elmwood Park East Patterson?
70s, I think.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, I think it's a while ago.
Now, West Patterson changed to
Woodland Park,
but more recently, right?
Yeah, in the 2000s.
That's right. I could have swore. Okay. All right, that makes more sense. Anyway, in their lifetimes, I don't know anything about Liv Morgan other than that she's from Elmwood Park, and I guess she's a WWE wrestler.
Yeah, she didn't win.
No, that's too bad.
So that's 3 things you know now.
I do. I know a lot more now.
Yep.
That's all. We're going to talk more about Elmwood Park throughout this show.
Yeah.
I mean, probably not. That's actually just about as much as
we got pizza towns in Elmwood Park.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it good?
It's pretty good. They got good heroes.
Would you go there for pizza over like things that are in your actual town?
No, but if I'm there, I'll get it. It's still good. It's still good pizza.
It's not worth going to another town for.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I'm not going to be disappointed if I drove there to get pizza.
Let's make sure we talk about this at length because that's what people are here for.
Yeah.
They really want to know about the pizza from this corner of North Jersey.
They were open late, so you would go late night. And so they're probably just closing now. Whatever.
I wonder where Erin Blanchfield gets her pizza.
I bet she likes Pizza Town.
Next time I get the chance to talk to her, I will ask her if she likes Pizza Town. But let's talk about her. And let's talk about her big
calzones
win.
are deep fried.
We're moving on, sir. We're actually going to get away from it this time. Erin Blanchfield surprised the heck out of, I think, everybody. Not the fact that she necessarily won or that if the way she was going to win was going to be by submission over Jessica Andrade. Although I admit it definitely surprised me because I thought this was a little too much too soon for her. Not that she couldn't have won it, but I thought maybe give her another year to get ready. But man, her striking
She looked good.
she was right there.
Her chin got tested. That looked good.
Her chin was definitely exposed a little bit more than it ought to have. Yeah, there's things to work on.
She landed some good shots, and she was opportune. She got the back and said, "Forget the hooks. I'm just gonna choke you."
I think the size definitely helped her, especially in that particular area, and the fact that she had a bit of a reach advantage there that she could exploit. I think that helped. She used it well, but nonetheless, it still, I think, exceeded just about everybody's expectations out of her striking. I think all the people who kind of study that at length looked at her fight with J.J. Aldrich last year, and they were very down on what they saw, right? I am curious to see what they think now. I'm sure there are things that can be worked on. I think she is most definitely a grappler at heart, but she is such a standout grappler, and now she's actually got some, if nothing else, adequate striking. It makes her very dangerous in this flyweight division. I was very impressed with her.
She's young.
She's only 23. She'll be 24 in May.
Her skills are going to, I think, at least probably the next couple fights are probably gonna leap pretty far.
I would think so. I think, and the thing is too, and I'm not saying that if you put her against Valentina Shevchenko, like in this next fight, let's say 5 months from now, just pull the number out, I'm not saying she would beat Valentina Shevchenko, but I do think one of the best routes to victory against Valentina Shevchenko at 125 would be take her to the ground, get on top, and force her to defend with some really excellent grappling, which is what she has. You know, we saw in the fight with Taila Santos, which would have been this fight if Santos hadn't had to pull out last week, it would have been her against Erin Blanchfield. I think we saw in that fight that, okay, if you can get on top with her and you stay out of trouble, you mind your P's and Q's to a degree, you can definitely do you can take advantage of her down there. I still don't think Taila Santos won that fight, and there were exchanges on the ground that I don't even think she was winning even from the top, but Erin Blanchfield's a different animal there.
Yeah, I think Blanchfield can beat Shevchenko, and the combination with Shevchenko, I don't want to say she's at the end of the rope, but she's further down the line where that might be, passing of the guard, maybe coming sooner rather than later. So I think it would be an interesting fight, and they should do it right away.
I think it's fascinating. Obviously, there is Shevchenko against Alexa Grasso. When Blanchfield made the call out after the fight, she said she wanted the winner of that particular fight. She said afterward at the press conference that she was shooting for that, but that if it's not available, she would absolutely take another fight in the interim. And I do think that's like a really smart approach too, because you might as well put it out there. You might as well be bold. You might as well be a little cocksure. And she's definitely sure of herself. I think she's confident. I don't think she's cocky. I think she's just confident. And that's a good approach, I think, with the UFC. And it doesn't like, you're not going to grate on people if you just say, like, I'm ready for this. I think I'm ready for this when you just won that way. She's not rubbing it in anyone's face or anything like that. But to also be like, yeah, I'll take another fight. Like, she's young. She might as well. Why would you sit on the shelf?
Just keep fighting.
Yeah. If they wanted to do, I could imagine a scenario where the UFC says, let's just operate on the assumption that Shevchenko is going to beat Alexa Grasso next month, which she may or may not. I don't know, but she's obviously going to be a big favorite for that fight for a good reason. So let's say Shevchenko wins. She's still the champion. I could see a scenario where they do Shevchenko-Nunes 3, finally, at 135, get that super fight done. And in the interim, they have Manon Fiorot fight against Erin Blanchfield. And then you produce an absolute distinctive number one contender to the flyweight division. Now, that does obviously knock one of them out. If it's Erin Blanchfield, I think that's almost all the better because she's so young that it would be it's hard to imagine she can't just get another win or two under her belt and get back there and be even better for it. But even the same thing could be said for Manon Fiorot anyway, too. She's really up there as well. She's done a lot of good work and put herself in a good position there. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of good things you can do at flyweight, or at least with this kind of flyweight triangle / title fight up for Shevchenko at 135.
It could be a 4-way discussion.
What's the 4?
Well, I don't know if she's
you
could
put Grasso in there. I guess
I don't
that's
know.
fair.
I don't know if she's going to stay at flyweight or go back to strawweight. But Tatiana Suarez is back.
That's true. I think she's still going to have to take more time, though.
She's gonna make a splash, but I don't know if she's gonna stay at 25.
I hope she stays at 25, but I also think she's probably going to need a little more time to kind of break through there. I think they're going to bring her along slower.
Couple of fights, but she was already there. She was smashed.
She was, but they're putting her against, and we'll talk about this later, but she's going to be fighting Montana De La Rosa in her return fight this coming weekend. De La Rosa is not in the rankings or anything like that. It would surprise the heck out of me if they had her go against De La Rosa and then they were like, oh yeah, now you got a number one contender fight. It's been many years since she fought, so. But I understand what you're saying. Like, she's definitely in that mix. I think it's kind of hard not to get excited for the potential of down the road Erin Blanchfield against Tatiana Suarez, because those look like, and Suarez is not as young as she used to be, but at least two of the almost like future of the division kind of faces that you think of.
Her fight with Cookie Monster, I forget her name already.
Carla Esparza.
Esparza.
One of your favorites.
For some reason, Fight Pass was broken where they have the fight, like that 24/7 live feed.
Okay.
And that just kept on repeat. That fight.
Sounds like your nightmare.
It was on because Suarez
right.
smashed.
Right, you do like that one.
After around the 5th time, I should change the channel.
But don't forget, Carla Esparza won that round on one of the cards. One of those rounds. That was like a 10-8 the other way.
Really? I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, that's what the scorecards say anyway. I have to believe that was an error. Like, it doesn't make any sense for it's one of those rounds in that fight was scored for Esparza when I think it was 2 10-8s for Suarez and then a 10-9 for Esparza in the same round. There's no way. There's no way. And we've talked about rounds like that where it actually can happen, and rounds where I've actually even sort of understood it. But man, not this fight. So I have to believe that's an error. It was in Texas. Maybe it was just put down wrong. It didn't go to the cards, so it didn't really matter. Maybe they would have checked that and made the fix. I'm just guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So. But anyway, it's neither here nor there. The point is, Erin Blanchfield, this was really her coming out party for a lot of people. Like, she was getting slept on in New York when she was going to fight Molly McCann. There was a lot of people thinking Molly McCann was going to win that fight. I wouldn't have been surprised if Molly had won that fight, but that felt
I honestly would have been surprised if Molly McCann won
just
that
because
fight.
she has that power striking, and we were coming off of the fight with Aldrich where she did not look as impressive, Blanchfield. So I think there was kind of that recency in your head, like, hey, I could see it.
Right, but there's such a grappling gap there. I always favor a grappler. Maybe it's not the right thing. Maybe it's still.
I mean, that's your own biases. That's fine.
2006 tough thinking. Diego Sanchez, wrestler versus striker, and the wrestler always wins. That's just where my mind goes, and I was like, there's no way she's gonna put her on her back and smash.
No, I can understand that for sure, and obviously the fight played out that way,
yeah.
So it's not like it was unfounded. But no, I mean, the point that I was trying to make was not that I thought that Molly was going to win, but that at least I could have seen the potential for it. But
puncher's chance.
Not even puncher's chance. It was just I would say, like, I'm not a handicapper, right? But if I was to have put a line on that fight, I would have probably said Blanchfield somewhere in the -180 to -200 range.
All right.
But I'm not putting Molly like so far out of that one, you know?
Okay.
Like, I still would have felt like this was Blanchfield's fight to lose. And sure enough, it played out that way. But again, the point is that Blanchfield really, she showed a different dimension to her game, is now growing. And that's really bad news for the women in her weight class. Because she is firmly a 125. Like, that's where she is. You know? I don't imagine she's going to have a need to go up to 135 at any point. She doesn't look like she cuts a dramatic amount of weight. I don't know what she cuts in particular. But I could definitely see her being a factor in this weight class for years to come.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And she might be one of those girls or women really, who is just at the top for, like, again, not even just in the division, but like really among those top fighters, whether she's the champion or not, for a long, long time. So very exciting to see, especially for someone who's local to us. But
it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be interesting when Casey O'Neill and her.
That'd be an interesting fight. Yeah, like
paths,
there are some real. I've been waiting for this. I've been saying this for years that I thought 125 will eventually become the best weight class of the women, and I think we're starting to see that actually coming to pass. I don't think it's there yet, but I think we're getting there where the talent's really filling in at 125 the way I kind of thought it might. So I think we're still in the 115. Probably has the best, deepest division right now, but I think it's getting really close.
All right.
And part of it is, it's hard to say because of how far ahead Shevchenko is from the rest of the competition,
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you have a dominant champion like that, it's really hard to tell. But I think it's sneaking up. So we'll see. But let's move on, though. We've one other fight that we kind of wanted to get into before we get to contested rounds. And it will kind of lead into contested rounds as well. And that is Jim Miller, our also local fighter.
Yeah, great win by Jim.
That's not what happened.
Oh, no?
No. The scorecards read 30-27 twice and 29-28 for Alexander Hernandez.
Well, he won in my heart.
That's fine. I understand that. Your heart will always belong to Jim Miller. Has he ever replied to your Valentine's Day cards?
He replied to me to agree to be on the show that one time.
He did. That's true. That's true. You did set that one up. Most of the time when we've had guests, I have been the one who's made that happen. We had another guest that you were trying to book and it fell through. We'll leave the name out, but you were 50-50 at least.
Yeah. Hey.
50-50 is good.
Win some, lose some.
Yeah, it's all right. But no, unfortunately for you, sir, it did not go Jim's way on the cards. I will say, though, I was definitely surprised.
Do the cards matter, though?
I mean, they kind of do because they're the ones that decide, like, wins and losses and money and all that stuff. So they actually matter, like, in a tangible, real-world way, unfortunately. So, but no, I was surprised, though, when the cards came out and it was twice 30-27 and 29-28. Now, the way I watched this fight, and I knew you have a very hard time being unbiased with Jim. I understand. When I watched this fight, and I think I can be pretty unbiased. Like, I've known Jim for 12, 13 years now. I wouldn't say we're close. I've never been to one of the barbecues. I never got beat up in grappling like you did with him. It's always been a professional relationship. And yeah, he's local and it's kind of cool, but otherwise he's just another fighter when it comes down to this, right? So I try to leave my biases out, right? When I'm watching this fight, I thought round 1, close round. I thought round 2, Hernandez looked good. And I thought round 3, close, but I thought Jim Miller was able to take it late because of his rear naked choke attack. And I thought that was the one that was the highest, most impactful moment of the round, the most effective moment of the round in the grappling phase. Because you weighed the grappling and the striking equally, right? I thought that was the one that kind of put it over. I would say in the lead up to that, Jim probably was not winning on the feet, but I don't think it was by a crazy amount because Jim actually had some pretty high spots. And then obviously there's the late flurry from Jim there that at the end, well, not from Jim, from Alexander Hernandez late. I didn't know how much more that changed my opinion of the round. I think it was something to grade, but I still think it was close enough that it maybe could go either way, but I would have given that to Jimmy. So I was a little surprised when it was those cards. Not that Alexander Hernandez couldn't have won, but 30-27 very much surprised me. We watched that fight back together, you and me, and I know you'd watched it again before that as well, so you've seen that fight 3 times now.
Yeah.
I still feel pretty good about Jim winning that round. Not that I can't see it the third that way, but man, all 3 judges sided that way. It is what it is, but
well, he almost finished him in the first minute with striking.
He wasn't almost finished.
Hernandez is on ice skates basically. And
this is round 3 we're talking about?
Round 3. At least that's how, I mean, I don't know. He almost finished him on the feet and he almost finished him on the ground.
That is I don't agree with that sentiment. I would say he looked like he had a real good attack on the ground. It was hard to say how much that was really under the chin and whether that was really just, face compression, that kind of thing, which I wouldn't put past Jim Miller to be able to finish. He didn't, but I think it was good enough that you can score it.
He's got these things where he locks onto subs that aren't quite there.
He does that.
But they're almost there.
He is known to do that.
And then just squeezes. Well, he had to squeeze in this, but he had to squeeze. He would 20 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you going to do at that point? That's what you do. To be honest, I was actually surprised how much juice he had left in round 3 because Jim Miller is
I think,
typically not a 15-minute, has the energy the entire time fighter.
I think
he burns it a lot early.
That's
and he
on
knows
Hernandez.
What's on
Hernandez for fighting so calculated, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, the dude landed like 100 strikes in the fight. It was pretty good. He landed well and often, especially rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah, often.
I would say there were a lot of moments that I don't know how badly he hurt Jim Miller most of the time compared to let's say if you were to take the totality of the fight, just the striking, and you said, okay, who hurt each other the most? I would say Jim probably put the number 1 up there. I think early in that round 3, but I think a lot of the top 10 is Alexander Hernandez is part of the problem. And round 2 especially. Round 2 was really good for Hernandez.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Jim also was mixing in those light kicks, I thought, more, which helped.
I thought round 3, the leg kicks, he landed like 3 good ones that got good reactions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reactions I think was really doing it for me. It's obviously more than just reactions. You have to read a lot as a judge, and it's more than I've been trained to do. Realistically, we talk about this and we've passed the judging courses, but you and I have never shadow judged in real life and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things we still don't have in our arsenal and our tool belt that we can rely upon. But it did look to me that when Jim would land a good one, sometimes it would really shut down Alexander Hernandez for enough of time that you're like, okay, that did something there, right? I think that's what you're looking for as a judge. In the criteria, it even says like, okay, what's kind of forcing them to maybe, when you're talking about dominance especially, but you know, that's really just when you're looking for one of the Ds. Nonetheless, it's still an important part of it to figure, okay, what is landing from one fighter in the striking department that's leading to the other fighter to maybe have to readjust and reaccount and that kind of thing. And I think I saw that from Jim, especially in that third round, more than I felt like was accounted for in the judging. And maybe I'm wrong. I'm not in the judges' heads, and we don't know what they think about those particular sequences. But yeah, I feel like it's okay to give that third round to Jim. Maybe 3 other judges who you'd put in there would feel that way, and that's fine. I mean, I tend to defer to the 3 cage side when they're all in agreement. Especially, I just chalk it up to, man, there's something I don't understand or know or didn't see, right?
Sure, but let me. I was going to save this for when we talk about round 1.
Yeah, we will.
It's a disclaimer. I cannot be unbiased here. Even watching after, knowing the result, I found myself discounting Hernandez's offense and probably exaggerating Jim's. I'm even arguing with Brandon Fitzgerald on commentary on second and third watch when he's talking about Jim leaking from his nose, even though he clearly has some blood coming from it. I'm like, he's not bleeding. And
well, on your TV has dark contrast. I had a hard time even telling on your TV.
But also, this is a good thing to say. I mean, this is why we disclose these things to the commission. So you can have an unbiased judge fighting this. I would never be able to score a Miller fight fairly.
Sure.
It's just impossible.
Yeah.
Even if I was unbiased, I'd probably find myself trying to
overcompensate
for it. And that's unfair to him.
Having said that, though, what if there was a scenario, let's say somehow Jim Miller just falls out of the UFC, but he's like, no, I'm going to keep fighting on regional circuit. He ends up on like a CFFC card, right? And they, for some reason, just say, you know what, we're only using 3 judges tonight. You got to work every fight. Thank you for disclosing. Unfortunately, you will still have to work this fight. And these type of things can happen. You disclose it, but in theory, you could still have to work that if there's just not enough personnel. Maybe they get a referee to do it. I don't know.
I would express to them my deepest concerns.
How problematic that would be?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's all you can do as a judge. Then it's up to the commission.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Also today I watched the Tim Donaghy documentary.
I watched that yesterday.
Yeah.
That's so weird because it's not even new.
I side with that guy. I think it was Jimmy. I sided with him a little bit.
Oh, no.
The guy who's
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I side with him in the fact that Stern was burying things. That's what.
I would concede that it's entirely possible that the NBA, knowing what it knew, was able to do certain things after that point. Having said that, I don't think that and we're getting way off topic here.
Well, I
don't think that there was any sort of manipulation of games on a widespread scale going on from referees in the league.
No. I think he's the one who leaked all the info.
Oh, I mean, that's possible.
Come out.
We're giving spoilers to a documentary soon. Sorry if we ruined this for you guys.
It's a real life thing. You can read it all in the papers.
Yeah, but what if people just wanted to watch the movie?
Oh, it's okay.
You're a jerk.
Whatever.
You can read summaries online.
Anyway, the reason I brought that up is because for that reason. You gotta be fair.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And I cannot be fair in this fight.
Yeah, no, and again, you're right. That's something that absolutely would get disclosed to the commissions, and once the commission knows, that's on them. That was the key thing that it doesn't sound like happened correctly way back with Joe Solis in Houston 3 years ago. Is it didn't from the reporting of our good friend Aaron Bronstetter at the time, he had not disclosed to the commission these links to Trevin Giles' team, and he was still staffed on that fight. And therein lies the problem. He had said something, and Texas Commission says, it's all right, we're going to put you on it. That's all he could do. Then the buck is not put on you. You've passed it to the leadership, who has then made the decisions. And that's the right way to do it. So hopefully that has been a lesson for officials as well. One that we learned early on just because that happened. So Not that we're real officials. We're not. We're just a bunch of Ammies
Yeah.
who have passed the course, but nonetheless, for many reasons, you and I are not going to be staffed on a fight all that soon.
Yeah.
But to get back again to the Miller-Hernandez fight, I just thought round 3 was the one that kind of surprised me the most. But you know what? Again, could have gone either way. Nothing wrong with the winner being not Jim Miller, even though I had 29-28. That's fine. And there really weren't that many split rounds, even though there were so many heavyweight rounds on this one. Light heavyweight and heavyweight in the middle of that card, which I still think was stupid to book it that way. I would much rather have done anything else during those 3 fights in between the North Jersey crew.
Scott, honestly,
What?
William Knight had a worse performance than Caleb Starnes.
I skipped that fight.
Oh, don't go watch it.
No, I'm not going to.
It is. I'm actually kind of shocked that I haven't heard anything about him being cut yet. He just didn't fight. Like, horrible fight.
I would just like to say that rather than watching that fight, I put on NBA All-Star Saturday. Now, I'm a big All-Star Saturday sucker. I like this kind of stuff, but the one part of the festivities that I've never liked is the skills challenge.
See, that's the only one I do like.
It's the
and the 3-point contest. The dunk
So you
contest
like
can
2 out
go-
of the 3.
Can go away.
All right. Well, we're not going to get into that one, but because you and I almost came to blows earlier for that. Mac McClung was awesome. Anyway, the skills challenge I think is hot garbage, and I was glad that I watched that instead of that fight because I tuned into the timeline and checked it over and was like, oh, looks like I didn't miss anything, so this is good. I felt good about
It was
myself,
a terrible fight.
and it was also a terrible event. So there we go.
No, it wasn't. Jim Miller was on it.
No, I'm talking about the skills challenge.
Oh no, see, I probably would have rather to watch that.
No, well, fine, whatever. But I mean, it still sucked. And the last part of that was just them chucking up shots and missing from all over the court. It was really trash.
Why are they shooting that? No, it's supposed to be passing. Your bounce pass through the hoop.
No, they changed
your chest pass through that way. Your dribbling skills. That's what that was.
They changed it a little bit. So that's one element, right? They do the obstacle course. That's one thing. Then they do another thing that's like a passing thing. And then they do a third one that's shooting. And they go to different spots on the court.
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, for the life of them, nobody who was on the rookie team, which is like the standout rookies, was able to make like more than one. I think they made one shot in 1 minute. It was pretty hot garbage.
Okay.
It was really terrible. That's what I'm saying. This was garbage. I'm still glad I watched that instead of this William Knight fight because it sounds like it was just terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah. Stop putting light heavyweight and heavyweight, like unranked guys, like all over main cards. The UFC's got to cut this crap out. And for God's sake, if they were going to put one on, they should have put Ovin St. Preux against Felipe Lins.
Yeah, why
Even before that, I was like, this should be on.
Why
This should
are
be
they
on the main.
buried?
I
Yeah.
don't understand. It made no sense to me. I thought that was really, really stupid and a total miscalculation. And it would have worked out better.
A lot better.
Hindsight, it looks even better. But even before, I was just like, why not? I don't understand. I think we're done, though, with that. I think we can just talk about the fact that, once again, there were 20 rounds scored overall, 16 of them unanimous, 80% unanimity rating there. There were no 10-8s on this card whatsoever. Not even in one. And honestly, not really much of a case for one.
See, that's where that night fight.
Oh, is there one in there maybe?
I don't think there is a 10-8 case.
Okay.
Although one person on MMA Decisions scored it at 10-8 for each round. But I think they weighed too heavy into the fact or the portion of the criteria that says if the other fighter does absolutely nothing, they probably weighed too heavily into that.
Yeah, not a lot of judges are actually gonna go there for that particular type of, especially if no one else is saying that. Yeah, I don't think so.
So
I'm curious now who that was, but nonetheless, I think it was it was a good night in terms of the judges being on the same page. I thought there were some fights that were pretty tough to judge. They were close fights. Evan Elder against I'm gonna butcher his name. The guy out of the Ray Longo camp.
yeah,
What was his name?
Evan Elder.
No, well, Evan Elder was the one. He was on the other side.
Oh, Sadikov.
Sadikov, thank you.
Yeah.
Sadikov got the win. I thought any of those first 2 rounds could have gone either way, and it ended up being 2-0 for Evan Elder.
Yeah,
I thought it was impressive that they
yeah.
all ended up on the same page.
I was on that side too, so
I had it split.
you can lump me into that impressiveness.
Yeah, well, no.
Thank you.
But let's get to contested rounds. Let's talk about those 4 rounds, and we will start with round 1 of Hernandez and Miller, which once again 230-77s, 29-28. We're split on this particular round, with the majority seeing this for Hernandez anyway. What happened in this round, sir?
All right.
First round.
I gave you guys the spiel before. This is how I see it.
I'll try to interject if I think
so.
I
think Miller
slanted.
landed the better shots. I thought he built up a decent lead in the first half of the round. Then Hernandez closes the gap in the second half of the round, and I just don't think he surpasses what Jim did. I think Jim got the bigger reactions when he landed. It is a close round, but when Jim lands, it's more noticeable, I feel. Hernandez isn't returning right away. Jim's never getting hit without throwing back most of the time. I think it's a Miller round.
I think you probably set that up about right. I do think this round is very close, though. It's absolutely, totally, and wholly reasonable to give this round to Alexander Hernandez. I do, for all the reasons you said, more or less see it Jim's way. But again, it was quite close. So I'm not surprised, number one, that this was split, and number two, that, well, I guess just number one. We'll leave it at that. That's probably all I had. So yeah, I saw this way, the same way as Derek Cleary on this round. It was judges Eric Colon and Rick Winter who saw this one for Hernandez. So what does that mean for Judge Cleary? We saw it his way.
Is this an official one?
Why not?
All right, fine. Couch side over.
I can't take it away from you.
I don't want to take it away, but also, what's my score?
No. I think it's fair. I think it's absolutely fair. You're admitting your bias. You've put it out there. It also doesn't mean anything.
All right, fair.
We can still send the thing.
Congrats,
in the mail.
Derek.
Yeah. We'll still send it out in the mail.
Yeah.
I hope it makes its way to Georgia. We'll see. But yeah, that was really. I think we've kind of ad nauseum that fight way too much. I don't think we have to go too much into it, but we will talk. We're gonna go round ourselves back to Erin Blanchfield's win over Jessica Andrade. Again, round 2 submission via rear naked choke. But round 1, very competitive round, split round. What happened?
So this was a very competitive fight. Very competitive round, I should say. Both landed good
fight overall, sure.
Both landed good shots upstairs. They were snapping each other's heads back. I think on the whole, Blanchfield was a little bit better, had a bit more. I don't want to say consistent, but I thought she landed hard. But I do think Andrade had a couple shots in there that landed harder, just not as many as Blanchfield. I think Blanchfield edges are on the striking a little bit there. On the whole, very, very close round. 10-9 Blanchfield.
See, it's funny. This round, in a lot of ways, like from a big picture, reminded me of Hernandez and Miller round 1 as well, in that it was competitive. One of the fighters built up a little bit of a better lead early, and then later on, one of them kind of closed the gap a little bit more. In this way, it was Blanchfield who built the lead, and Andrade kind of started to see more success later in the round. But the difference that I saw was that I thought Andrade was the one who was landing with a little more pop, a little bit more effectiveness in her strikes. And I thought she was landing to all the different areas as well. And I think you have to account for that. I think she was doing good work in trying to set up the body and the legs and that kind of thing. She was investing in there. Yeah, especially the legs. I thought she was really investing in there, and I thought it was effective. And I thought she was landing upstairs with just a little bit more effectiveness. But really close. I had no problem with it going to Blanchfield. I saw it for Andrade. May put my score up on the broadcast, and I got a bunch of people that are like, "Oh yeah, I hope Scott Fontana eats not gonna say it on the show, but it was impolite. I thought just a little impolite. Like, my kid reads my Twitter. No, he doesn't.
Well, social media wasn't built for politeness, apparently.
Yes, it was.
Apparently, it was.
Yes, it was. Al Gore envisioned it a long time ago as a polite area where everybody would just speak kindly to one another.
Is that the thing, Al Gore? He invented the internet?
He invented the internet, yeah.
Apparently.
That's right. Supposedly, I don't want to get deep into it. Supposedly there's like a minor truth to it, but it's not really true.
Okay.
Like, he had something to do with
a
modern version of it. But the internet has it's got origins in it's super old.
Right?
It's super old. We're not going to get deep into the weeds on that one. But to get back to this fight in particular, this round, I thought it was close. I think it's okay to go either way. I think it's defensible either way. I saw it for Andrade. I feel good about it, but at the same time, it's fine to go either way. No problem with you going that way.
Yeah, I'm good. It's a super close round. So.
And you saw it the same way as Sal D'Amato and Genichiro Kamijo. I saw it like Mike Bell did. So, if I was told to go eat a you-know-what, then I guess that goes for Mike Bell as well, unfortunately. We can skip that. I will choose to instead have an actual ball game hot dog, like a regular one of those.
So I like when the tweets come in and it's opposite of what the commentary's saying.
Yeah.
Because it kind of brings them back to a level
I think
it
they
levels
do
him out a
that
little
on
bit.
purpose.
So-
I think they do that on purpose, and I don't know if it's because of what you're saying, like where
Oh.
they're trying to level it out and kind of bring in an extra mix, or if they're just like, "Yeah, look at these effers. We're gonna screw them." I think Zach Candino on the UFC production team's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna put his tweet up there and just see how much time we can f with this
There
guy's
was
life."
because there was one sequence. There was one sequence they didn't give Andrade any credit for. She's blacking Blanchfield down, just winging lefts, and she's hitting her with each one of them as Blanchfield's like just retreating backwards, and they gave her almost zero credit for it on the commentary.
Let me ask you this before we
So-
move on from this fight, because I'm curious if you would agree with me. I think there was the expectancy bias in this fight because we did not expect Erin Blanchfield to be so competitive on the feet with Jessica Andrade. And yes, she completely was. And I think that's one of those things where it starts to bleed into not just the commentary, but especially people watching at home. They think they know what the way one thing's going. They're surprised and like, wow, look at that. She definitely won the round.
Yeah.
I feel like there's at least a portion of that.
They
in
have,
there.
yeah, that's.
And I'm not saying the judges necessarily did that.
No,
Sal D'Amato and Janicio Cormijo are two of the most impressive judges that we have in the entire world. I have all the faith in the world for them to be able to block out that kind of thing based on their experience.
Yeah.
Having said that, I don't think everyone else feels that way.
No, that's true.
So
I think so.
that's where I think there's a little bit of that. But again, and you don't even think that. I don't think that that's how you approached it. I think you I think you saw a close round for Blanchfield, and it's entirely defensible. And I see it that way too, but I just went the other way.
Honestly, I was like, why is everyone on Andrade? Kind of, that's what I was kind of like.
Really?
I kind of felt it was a much more even matchup.
But the odds reflected that. The line was really close.
Originally when it opened?
No, but by the end,
Okay.
Erin Blanchfield was like almost even money.
Okay, so all the money probably came in on her.
I think they saw a lot. Yeah, I'm still surprised it went that way though. I guess I have a very high opinion of Jessica Andrade. I think I really thought coming into this one that realistically she's somebody who could go in there, and I don't know that she would beat Valentina Shevchenko because we saw that fight, and I don't really see enough from her that would change the way that would go. But I saw her as kind of that, like, she might just be like the Joseph Benavidez, who's like the next best person by like not even a clear margin, but she's definitely the next best person. And obviously that's not the case.
All right.
But that's all.
Well,
I didn't
Joe
want to.
B.
I had nothing more to add to that fight. Do you?
No,
All right.
I'm good.
Now let's talk about these other two fights on the main card, because there were no prelim fights to talk about as far as contested rounds.
No, there wasn't.
We made it through the whole prelims without it. I almost texted you like, let's not jinx it, but I didn't do that.
We didn't text each other till after the scorecards of Jim.
Is that right?
read. That's when you text me, wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did say wow. Yeah, because I was surprised. Again, I was super surprised at the cards that went that way. But anyway, let's talk about these other two rounds from the main card in those fights that I didn't feel like watching, but eventually I had to go back and actually watch Jamal Pose and Josh Parisian. I did watch live Zach Pounga and Jordan Wright. Pounga.
There's an N somewhere, apparently.
No, yeah,
So-
my understanding is that is how it's pronounced, yeah. But let's talk about that Pounga fight first. It was 30-27 twice and a 29-28 for Pounga. Jordan Wright basically just smiled the whole time and didn't do anything. That's how I saw it.
He was
But
smiling.
round two is at least a round we're going to talk about here. So because it was split. So what's happening around two?
So it's a pretty close round. It doesn't appear to be a close round. Meaning it's a sneaky close round.
Mm-hmm.
Pounga lands a good right at distance before he's able to close the gap and resume the clinch against the fence strategy, which he did the entire first round before splitting open Wright's head.
Yeah, he did almost nothing in
That
that
was-
first round, and then he actually started landing the elbows. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is actually like some good offense.
Yeah,
So I'll give him that.
So Wright's stuck on the fence, and he's throwing a ton of these pitter-patter shots. At least that's how they feel like they are on TV. Just
They sure
stay
looked
busy.
like it, yeah.
And Pounga is throwing some decent knees to the body, just not that many of them. It's really just a lack of volume from Pounga that's keeping it close, I think. He finally lets a couple of good elbows go. Most are probably partially blocked, but still getting through. Wright lands a couple of these Travis Brown elbows when Pounga actually does drop down to go for a takedown. He immediately comes right back up. I don't think this is enough. I think it's a Pounga round for me, but I do get the argument, and it's kind of closer than it would appear to be. So 10-9 Pounga.
I don't really have much to add to that other than one, I agree with you, and number two, I did kind of see this one as a little more clear for Pounga watching it live. I did not take the time to go back and watch it, but I do trust your judgment in that sense that there are, it can be deceptive.
There's argument there for sure.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna take your word for that one, to be perfectly honest. I just didn't. I have no urge to go back and watch this fight either. I just don't.
Outside of the elbow that split him open. That's really it.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, nonetheless, no one would come away from this fight thinking, "Oh, maybe Wright got the decision." It's like, no, it doesn't matter.
Wright had his hand raised. He was like, "Yeah, I won that."
Yeah. Well, must be nice to live in that world.
Yeah, that wasn't a great fight. It was good for Pounga. He did what he wanted to do.
I thought Pounga established what he wanted to do, and he was able to effectively do that for the majority of 15 minutes. It wasn't not always pretty, and he failed in doing the thing that I expect all light heavyweight and especially heavyweight fighters to do, which is to finish in 5 minutes. He did not do that.
You didn't always have 205ers in that.
No, I didn't, but they've started to do them more.
Okay.
And it's really the unranked ones.
Okay,
that's the problem. Once you get the ranked guys in, it's like, okay, there might be a difference in there. But like, if you had said to me, you've got to put 3 fights on here that are going to go the distance, and they're not going to make you feel happy about your time spent watching them, and you have to do it or we're going to murder you, I'm picking these 3 fights.
Okay.
And I would have won.
Yeah,
and I would not have been murdered. I would still be able to do this show again. Because if I was murdered, we couldn't do the show anymore.
That's true.
So this scenario obviously is fictitious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just in case you weren't sure. But yeah, anyway, dumb fights. But we'll talk about one more of them, which is Jamal Pose. Got the win over Josh Parisian. Again, that fight I did not watch until I had to go back and watch that round. So I was watching the NBA All-Star Weekend, which was much better. By this point, it was a different phase of it. I think it was the 3-point contest, so I felt better use of my time.
Okay,
that was good. Which Damian Lillard won, by the way.
I knew that one.
All right, Dame Dollar. Round 2 is what we're going to be talking about here because, again, 30-27 twice and 29-28. All but the Blanchfield fight that we're talking about here were 30-27 twice and a 29-28. Round 2, again, just like the last fight we talked about, is split. So what's happening in round 2?
Classic heavyweight MMA slogfest here. A couple of one-punch exchanges before Pokes gets a big takedown. It was a good takedown. But Parisian...
Yeah, I like that one.
Parisian immediately threatens a Kimura and uses it to stand up and prevent Pokes from landing any offense. He couldn't even throw anything. But as soon as they're back on the feet, Pokes is still attached. He gets a quick trip. They're back on the ground. But Pokes doesn't do anything until Parisian works his way back up, kind of like leaning against the fence. He lands one good shot there, maybe 2. Parisian doesn't come alive until the final minute where he starts landing his solid offense. He has a couple of good flurries in this final minute, and it's a close round, but I think that final minute was probably the most effective minute in the round for either fighter. So Parisian 10-9.
Yeah, I got nothing to add. I had the same way, and for the same reason. So it was you, me, and Mike Bell. We went the other way from Genichiro Cremijo and Tony Weeks. So what does that mean for Judge Bell?
Couchside override.
Because he's Bell. Should I do a ding 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 ding?
Ding ding ding.
No, I shouldn't change it. It should be one size fits all.
Okay.
I'll keep it that way.
Ding 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 ding.
You can do
it. Doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't. It does not. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like actively don't like it now that I hear it. So let's never think about that again. But that was it for the contested rounds. Again, we only have 4 of them. Shout out, by the way, before I forget, to Laura Sanko, who's been on the broadcast now 2 times. The last 2 times they've been in the Apex, because she will talk about the criteria in an intelligent way, and we will always appreciate that. So
absolutely
keep fighting the good fight, Laura. But that is once again that was it for the contested rounds. We had 6 finishes because the prelims were actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah, prelims
on the whole. There's a lot of fighters that I wouldn't necessarily say should be on the UFC roster, but all the same, some good fights, and I like the finishes. 2 TKO or KO submission, and 4 by submission. Again, what this trend of more subs than strike-based finishes is stunning. I think it's happened 3 events in a row. Am I right?
Well, I like it.
I'm good with it. I'm just surprised. It goes against all the metrics.
Throw the metrics out.
I guess so. Who needs data?
Choke out the metrics.
Numbers suck. Anyway, two finishes in the first round. Did you have what was one of your favorite finishes, a first round or a different one?
Second round.
Second round. What'd you
get? Bueno Silva knee barring Lena Landsberg.
Mayra Bueno Silva. Get her name out there.
I said Bueno Silva.
She got a first name.
Okay, Mayra Bueno Silva knee barring Lena Landsberg.
Bueno.
That's what I just said.
Just saying good.
Oh, what?
Bueno means good.
Muy bien. That means very good.
Wait, bueno does mean good, right? Did I mess that up?
I don't know.
I've been more in the Italian lately.
Maybe it's good in
So
Italian.
I'm taking the Italian. That's not in.
Here's one thing. It wasn't così. It was muy bien.
I see.
So
that means so. That
yeah.
doesn't mean I see it.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great setup. She was on top. Her shoulder pressure was fantastic. That was like Lena Landsberg couldn't look the other way at all, even if she wanted to. But they get up and she rolls to the knee bar, and it was a quick tap. So solid technique. I loved it.
I did. It felt like watching in slow motion though, as she's kind of pulling that knee through. It's kind of like it's getting closer. It's getting closer. You might want to tap now.
Yeah. She's like, all right, yeah, you got me.
Yeah,
you got me.
Yeah, that was a good one though. I mean, but God, for God's sakes, Lena, get away.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It was kind of like waiting for it to get in there.
Yeah. She had to move away from that though. Why would you get back in there? Anyway, great finish though. Super awesome finish. I also liked Bueno Silva at the end. She was like, "Why not give me a title shot? Why not?"
Yeah, why not?
It's like it's good. You're putting the onus on us to figure out why not.
Honestly, at 300, if it's not Jim versus Islam, I'm boycotting. So he deserves a title shot too.
How did we get back to Jim Miller on this?
Because you reminded me about the title shot.
All right.
And Jim deserves a title shot at 300. So
it's not gonna happen.
It should though.
He should have won this fight.
Why not? Why not?
Because he's not winning.
In your eyes. What was your favorite finish?
My favorite finish was actually that fight that we were talking about earlier that I thought should have been on the main card, and that was Felipe Lins starching Ovince St. Preux in 49 seconds, doing exactly what you're supposed to do when you weigh 205 pounds or more, ending it quickly, giving me something fun to watch, and then we move on.
Did OSP throw a single strike?
I don't know that he did.
He just got swarmed and just battered.
I mean, sometimes that happens. It's just 49. What can happen in 49 seconds? Sometimes people are feeling it out, and he likes it a little bit more lackadaisical pace too. So
yeah,
for that to happen, I'm not really surprised. St. Prue's getting quite long in the tooth though, so I'm not. It's not too surprising that he's starting to wear it now a little bit more in there. I don't know if we'll see too many more fights from him at this point. I'm not saying the UFC should necessarily cut him. I bet you he can still compete, but what more are you getting in there for at this point? I hope St. Preux is able to find a dignified exit at one point or another.
Yeah.
But that was it for UFC Vegas 69.
You mean UFC Miller 41? That's
a better way to distinguish it, actually. I like that one. But that's it. Yeah, that's it. We can look forward now to two events coming this weekend. It's a Bellator and UFC double threat, both on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Bellator is overseas in Ireland for this one. UFC is at the Apex again. But Bellator being overseas, they will have their main card at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So it will at least get off. It's going to start about the same time as the prelims probably start with the UFC. But yeah, I mean, I know what I'll be watching. I would much rather watch the UFC, the Bellator main card, especially for their main event. The main event's really, honestly, that might be the only attraction for me. It's a bad card. It's just the one fight that I think everyone is looking forward to is Yaroslav Amosov returning to unify the 170-pound title with Logan Storley, the interim champ.
Nah, I don't think I've seen the first fight.
What do you mean the first fight?
They fought already.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm blanking. It is 2:30 in the morning. Yeah, it was. If I recall, it was a good fight.
Okay.
If I'm thinking of the right fight. But it's late. Hopefully, it's at least better than Logan Storley against MVP. That sucked.
That's the one. That's the only recollection I have.
That's the genesis of the Storley knees that you like to mention.
That's the only really time I know of Logan Storley fighting. So
I'm hopeful this will be. I mean, got to be better than that fight, but I think it'll be a solid fight. I'm looking forward to that one very much. I don't know who's going to be judging it. My guess is it'll be some combination of those top UK judges that come over, as well as the judges that are often working at Mohegan Sun. That's typically what we see when Bellator goes to Ireland, is kind of a mix of that. There'll probably be some local Irish judges as well. We've seen that as well. So there's a lot of fights on this card. It's like 18 of them. So
18 fights.
I like that you put down there's 18 fights, WTF, probably 12 post-lims.
Well, yeah, it's right.
Yeah.
The prelims start at 11:30 a.m. I don't know if they're hopeful.
Maybe they will get them all in.
Yeah.
Who knows? But what they'll do is they're going to just rattle them off. They're not going to spend the YouTube prelims just putting in a bunch of video packages and stuff. They will at least keep the fights moving along, and if they need to stop, then they just stop and resume later, which is the way I like it done.
Me too.
Yeah. Maybe one of the worst things that could have happened was they started putting all the fights on main TV for UFC. I liked when they added the Facebook prelims. Remember way back when they put the prelims on Facebook? Because there was a time where you couldn't watch the live prelims. You had to watch if they had to fill in the gaps of time, like, okay, there was an early finish on the pay-per-view main card. We'll show you something that happened earlier in the night you didn't get a chance to see. And they used to fill in the time that way. And I loved that. But also, when they added the Facebook prelims, it was another way that you could say, at least you could watch every single fight. And they would still take those fights and put them on the main broadcast if they needed to. I thought that was perfect.
I think
that was the sweet spot.
Yeah.
And we've lost that because now everything's on TV, and now they got to fill the time with promotional stuff.
Well,
it throws off the pace. It makes the night feel long, and it sucks.
They're on a hard schedule.
They are.
That's why.
It's different.
That's why I would like that more. Belt. Let's start the prelims at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
If we have to have an hour intermission between because the fights ended so fast, I think that's better than having to watch
an hour is tough.
4 fights after the main event.
An hour is really tough because you got to factor in the live crowd. What is that live crowd that's bored going to do for an hour when
they're going to get hammered
they're going to
fight? It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a bloodbath in there.
That crowd would be hot.
I just don't think that. I think an hour is tough. If they can manage to get to like 20 minutes, I think they can manage to say, okay, 20 minutes, everyone go get water, everyone go get beer, everyone go to the bathroom, come back, we got live fights for you, and you get back. I feel like that's like a good amount of time. Or any more than that is getting tricky.
Or if they're like, okay, we're definitely having post-lims, but we got 40 minutes until the main card starts. You should do another fight then.
Yes, absolutely.
So
I agree there.
They didn't do that last time.
No, that is true. We'll see what they do here. But obviously, again, they're not the only show. On Saturday, they do have the UFC card, 7 p.m. main card for that one, and it's headlined by Nikita Krylov and Ryan Spann. I like this fight at 205. It's just, I don't know, it just feels like just another UFC Fight Night main event. I thought at least the one we just had, as much as everyone was kind of bagging on the card, I thought, even take Jimmy out of the equation, take Miller out of the equation. I'm talking about the main event of this one. I thought at least looked really interesting on paper.
Well, yeah,
it had that.
The original main event too was very intriguing.
Well, Marlon Chito Vera and Corey Sandhagen got moved forward so they could put it on in front of live fans, which again we talked about last week. But even still, this fight is like a good, interesting main event. Right here, Krylov and Spann, it really is like just another 205-pound, like we sort of know these names, we've seen them before, let's put it on a headliner because you might know them.
I mean, Krylov's 6, Spann's 8. So
ranking. So like what? He's not 6 years old. He's older than that.
It's 2 top 10 guys going.
Yes, but like it's just another what's going to happen to the winner? Does the winner just all of a sudden go fight for the title? No. They're not even close. If Nikita Krylov wins this fight, he is at least minimum 2 fights away from a title shot, like bare minimum.
All right, that's fine. No,
that's what. But like there's no stakes to it. I don't know. It's just not interesting.
I think there's more stakes than there's stakes here for these guys.
I legitimately am more interested, and I think a lot of people feel this way, in Tatiana Suarez's return.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Which I think this is the most attractive fight here. I get that you can't put this as a main event.
Oh no,
especially for the fact that we haven't seen Tatiana Suarez make it to the cage in several years. They're not going to do that. I understand. And, it's not like Montana De La Rosa is any sort of name recognition from a headlining standpoint. But this is easily the biggest attraction for me because I'm very fascinated to see how she does returning to the cage. And it's just great that she's gotten back. Like, she had to overcome a lot in her life and also in recent years.
Right.
So,
but yeah, now this is the I'm most interested in, but I think the best fight is Brendan Allen and Andre Muniz.
I agree. I think that's all. Like, Tatiana Suarez has the potential to just destroy Montana De La Rosa.
Mm-hmm.
I think Muniz and Allen, that's a really fun fight. I do think that Muniz at this point has earned a fight up in the rankings as opposed to
Yeah.
fighting down with Brendan Allen. I think Brendan Allen's earned a fight with like somebody good, but I think maybe this wasn't the best booking, but nonetheless will still end up being a fun fight. I like this fight. I'm more interested in this than Krylov and Spann. And not to say that I don't think Krylov and Spann's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's, as far as light heavyweight fights go, I like it, but I don't know.
I'm saying it's not a headliner.
I'm saying it's not a headliner.
Yeah.
There's no headliner on this card.
I feel they do that with these with the Apex cards.
But they do, absolutely. But again, we're coming off of one where I thought the card itself was weak, but at least the headliner was strong. Here it's kind of it's almost the opposite. There's actually some fights here that I like, but that the headliner really there just isn't one. It's just there's a fight that's going to happen last, and that's it. And we're going to make that 5 rounds.
Well, at least it starts at 7:00 and it's over at 10.
Sure.
So
yeah, that's true. And I do like the Odie Osborne against Charles Johnson energy. Although that fight's at 130. It's a catch weight. I think Johnson came into this one on late notice, so they said, okay, we can make that at 130.
Okay.
But to my knowledge, this might be the UFC's first 130-pound fight.
It's definitely 130.
That's what I had read.
Okay. Interesting.
So we'll see.
Well, yeah, because Dennis Bonder dropped out of who Ode was going to fight. So.
And I like Odie Osborne anyway, so I was interested in him regardless. But him and Charles Johnson, I think, has a lot of potential to be a really fun fight.
Yeah, it
so
should
I
be
like
good.
that. Yeah, there's some good fights on this one. Again, it's a collection of fights that I think if they had somehow combined the previous, like this event and last week's event and kind of redistributed the fights, you probably could have found a way to get 2 headliners in here.
What do you think of Augusto Sakai and Dontel Mays? Let's hope it ends in 5.
Let's hope it ends in 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Sakai, honestly, a lot of his fights just aren't very interesting to me. Dontel Mays is kind of weird too. Sometimes
he got that late sub right over what's his name? From Longo's camp with that Ezekiel type thing from the bottom.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
I think that's what yeah.
But yeah, no. The short answer is no, I'm not.
Oh, no, it wasn't even him. Never mind. I was thinking of someone else.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't even him.
Well, nonetheless.
Yeah.
The answer is no. I'm not. Sorry. No disrespect. I hope he can make a good living, but I'm just not interested in watching that fight.
All right. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again on Monday. We'll break down
some fights.
At least main card of Bellator and the UFC.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out, I guess, how we do it, but I think there's probably enough for the UFC full card and the Bellator main card. That's what I would think.
We got 31 fights scheduled right now.
We're not doing all of those, for damn sure. We'll see what we end up with.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Take care, everybody.